All right, so let's go ahead and rewind and let's talk about how we even got here to this point. Where do we start? This is for those that are either thinking about going to college, so you can take this as general information. Those thinking about going to college, those that are worried about the financial aspect of college, and then for those that are considering physical therapy profession and getting into it, y'all can see kind of like what I did and see if anything kind of sticks for you or resonates with you. So let's talk about it. So where did I start? I started at Los Angeles Pierce College. And I will say this, I was not the biggest supporter of community college in the beginning because yes, my parents were like, go to community college. It's cheaper. It's the better option, get the feel. And, yeah, other teachers. But who did I really, or who do most of us when we're, in high school really paying attention to? We're paying attention to the other students and how they talk about things, right? And everyone in my high school talked about going to USC, UCLA, Harvard, all the big name universities, right? And no one really talked about community college. So it's like, oh, I want to go to I want to go to a 4 year university right away, right? That's a mindset. But COVID happened in 2020, and that like knocked away everything because I got into Arizona State University and I also got into California State University. Um, I wanted to go to Arizona because I just wanted to get out of the state and kind of leave and just experience that for myself. But it was super expensive on that end and also just COVID. So yeah, and I was not going to pay all that money to be in my dorm. So scratch all that. We then last minute applied to Los Angeles Pierce College. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hurt. I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, what's gonna happen? All this stuff. But you know what? My mom, she talked to me. My dad talked to me, and they're like, Blake, you gotta make the most of it. Yes, it's not what you wanted, but go in and experience and see what happens. So I did that, and guess what? I will say this: if I do it again, I'm going back to Los Angeles Pierce College. I did the 2 year promise program, which is basically it was free. So I did not pay a single thing for the 2 years that it was at Pierce, unless I did a summer or winter course. You had to pay for that, but the fall and winter that was covered as long as you maintain a certain amount of units in a semester, good academic standing, and then you went to the orientation. And that is for those that are considering going to college or those that are worried about the financial aspect to it. You can do that one. So I did that, and I got my associates for transfer in kinesiology from there. And I also got another associates along with that too during my time because I was going to school year round and I was also working, but mainly going to school year round. So once I finished there, where did I go? I went to California State University, Northridge. Once a Matador, always a Matador. So yeah, so I went there for another 2 years, and I ended up getting my bachelor's in kinesiology with an emphasis in exercise science. Now, this is where I really honed in at and really did all of my observation and the volunteer for physical therapy applications. And I did a lot of my extracurriculars. So while I was at California State University, I was part of the Move Learn Lab, which is now called the GATE Lab, also known as the GATE Ocular Motor and Lower Extremity Dynamics Lab, which is run by Dr. Hinkle Lipsker, amazing professor that I really learned a lot from as far as with biomechanics, and it's really helped with the concepts that I learned in physical therapy school because the research stuff comes back, and you're going to be a lifelong researcher as a physical therapist because you're not always going to use glutes and sorry, you're not always going to use glute bridges and clamshells and all these different things to treat people. There might be other better interventions for individuals, and how you're going to know that by staying up to date with the best practices and best evidence. So it's always going to come back. And with his lab, I learned a whole lot when it comes to all that, how to understand, how to read research. What are you looking for when you are looking at research? So a lot of that stuff, it came back, and I was like, I'm so thankful for this because I would probably struggle in that class if I never started there in undergrad. So I will say that join a research lab, do that for yourself, and just see how it is. And you only get in as much as you put in. So yeah, so there's no big thing on that. So try that, see how it goes for you, see how it feels. But yeah, so that's what I did. And then I was doing that, became a lab manager. That entailed its own thing, and that was pretty great too. More responsibility with lab operations and helping coordinate schedules. And when we did our conferences, kind of coordinating that stuff as well. The first one I ever went to was to Denver for the ACSM conference. And then the second one that I went to was in Boston. And both times was really great. Learned a whole lot. Met a lot of great people, a lot of great researchers and students and professors and doctors that are contributing to the realm of movement and kinesiology and beyond. So that was really great. And I really learned a lot. Had a great time with that. Hold on. Let me look. Let me do a little. Hold on, real quick. I want to just shout out really quick that with the Gate Lab, I did have the great opportunity and experience in being able to be part of publishing of research, which was a great experience. I had a great time being part of that research process and kind of just seeing like essentially the timetable, how it goes generally, understanding start to finish, and then just seeing it all come together. So that lab that we did, or the research article, is called the Overground Omnidirectional Spatial, Temporal, and Muscle Activation Pattern Adaptations Across Walking Modalities, Virtual Reality, and Pace Constraints. So go ahead and give it a read. It's a very good one. So go ahead and check it out. So along with that, I was also volunteering at different clinics and places, and then eventually some of it turned into employment opportunities. So I did volunteer at a few different physical therapy clinics, BKP physical therapy, and I ended up working as a rehab aide for select physical therapy later on. I was with them for about a year, got a lot of my outpatient hours with them, and depending on your program for your physical therapy application, you will need to submit those observation hours. Some are as little as 50, others are 100, some are 150. It just depends on the program that you apply to. And then I would say the one where I had the most enjoyment at was working in the hospital. So I also worked at Northwest Hospital Dignity Health. With that one, I was a volunteer first. I was a volunteer for about 3 months, and then I got offered a job as a rehab therapy aide, and that was just really great. And that was a really great time because of the reward and being able to. You're really seeing patients in their most vulnerable space, and then you're seeing them be able to leave within like 2 weeks. Like they're there longer, but by the time they get to the section that I was working in, they're there for about 2 more weeks, and then they're discharging. But the growth in between those 2 weeks is just so great, and it's just so rewarding. And then you kind of, and you also get you're not just, you know, you're not just working with them. You're getting to know them. Like you're getting to know these different things about them, and they're telling you these stories, and you're listening, and you're really taking it and soaking up like a sponge. And they make you better because then you understand. You're learning more about people. You understand people's like dislikes, all these different things, cultures, all of it. So it makes you better as a person in general. And it was just really great. And in the future, I do want to work in the hospital still. I do want to work in the inpatient setting. That is one of my interests to do. So that was a really great time there. And then that's where I kind of was for later. I ended up working there for about 2 years. Yeah, I was there for about 2 years. And then I applied to physical therapy school. I got into only one school. So I kind of got ghosted from one of them. CSUN was very strict. Their program is very strict because you have to be done with all your stuff, all your prereqs and everything by the time you submit or the application process is due. I would need more time to get all my prereqs done. Yeah, so it just didn't work out. Two others I got rejected from. But yeah, West Coast was the one that basically said, hey, we'll give you an interview. Got the interview. Things went well. Was on the wait list for a little bit. Not even that long. And then I got in. And I'm really grateful to West Coast because all it takes is one chance. All you need is one opportunity. And, they got the right one. That's all I got to say. I feel like, I think of it more like a draft. You know what I mean? Like you're getting drafted. You work so hard to get to this moment. And you're like, I put in all this work, all this stuff. And then you want to get drafted. And you did. And, it's kind of like, Lamar Jackson says. 4 chills today. I'm looking forward to being a Raven. What are they getting? Everything out of me. They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. I need that. I'm gonna give my best, and I want to be the best clinician that I can be, and I want to do all that while still being Blake, and that's gonna happen. That's kind of just my story, how I did my stuff. Get your observation hours in, for sure. Like, I would say you can start doing that if you're already considering physical therapy school and you're really leaning into it. I would say go ahead and start early. Like, start the moment. I would say let yourself let yourself get acquainted with college first if you're just starting new into college. like I would say around like sophomore, junior year, like then you can start going about like, okay, let me check out these different places, let me volunteer, just check it out, get a little taste for it, because yeah, you're in school, you're learning about it in the lecture setting, right? But it's a little bit different when you actually get there and you see it, and then you can really tell like, okay, is this for me, is this what I really want to do? And then you go from there. So I will say that start early, because it feels like a lot when you do get the application process, because you are doing a lot. You're trying to reach out also to other references that you know of that are physical therapists or professors. You're trying to reach out to them, ask them for a letter recommendation and all that stuff. And you're trying to apply for your own self and all these different things that make the process stressful, right? Of course, but start early, prepare well, and you'll be fine. So that's my advice for y'all. And that's kind of my path to get to where I am now. And then where did the business come from? So the business